Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're getting into some horrifying true Reddit threads. You guys seem to love these Reddit threads videos, so I'm gonna keep making them as long as you guys keep watching them. So comment down below if you'd like to see more Reddit threads video in the future. And today we have some crazy Reddit threads. They're horrifying, they're creepy, they're eerie, they're weird, and you'll want to stick around. I mean, these are some of the best Reddit threads I have ever read, and I just want to say thank you so much for stopping by. It means the world. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow my Instagram, and follow me on Spotify, and comment down below if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. And without further ado, let's get into some horrifying true Reddit threads. I think someone is playing with me. Originally posted on January 6th, 2025, and the post reads as follows. This is going to sound a little crazy, but I need some advice anyway. Just want to start by saying that I've never had any problems with paranoia, delusions, or psychosis, and I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that. I'm also 35 years old now, so it's unlikely that those type of mental illnesses would arise at such a late age. That being said, I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm pretty sure someone moves small things in my apartment when I'm not home. I live alone and no one, as far as I know, has a key to my apartment. I have 2 keys and both are in my possession. I've checked several times. I've tried putting glasses and plates on the table as a test before I go to work, and I've taken pictures of them to compare with the pictures when I get home. So far, I have not been successful in proving anything. The most obvious things that I have noticed that have moved are a plate I had breakfast on that day, moved maybe 30 centimeters from where I put it. Candles have moved from the center of the coffee table to the edge of the table, and a shampoo bottle has moved from one shelf to another that I never used to store shampoo on. There are several other things I've noticed, but they are very small things that maybe not could be me now that I'm so aware of where everything is. My ex-boyfriend had the key to my apartment for many years before we broke up 2 years ago. We didn't fall out, and he has a new girlfriend now, so I'm 99% sure it's not him. He also works in Copenhagen now, several days a week, while I live in Jutland. I've asked him on days when things have moved, where he was, and he has been in Copenhagen all of those days. He shared his location on Messenger, so that was enough. What would you do? I have no evidence of anything, and in principle, I could have been sleepwalking or something and just not noticed the changes until I got back home from work. I occasionally sleepwalked as a child, but as far as I know, it hasn't happened in maybe 25 years. It's starting to get pretty creepy. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, there is a well-known Reddit thread that sounds very similar to what you describe. It turned out that the person had severe carbon monoxide poisoning that created paranoia and delusions. I would strongly advise you to see if you can find somewhere else to sleep for the next few nights and then buy a detector. They are available at Bauhaus and the like. Maybe it's not, maybe you're just forgetful, but if it's carbon monoxide, you're messing with your life. And then the OP replies saying, thanks, I just Googled it. I'm staying with my parents tonight and then I'll buy a carbon monoxide detector tomorrow, just in case. And then someone else replies to the OP saying, if that doesn't work, then you can buy a wildlife camera and set it up. It takes pictures when there's movement, so you can see if you are doing it in your sleep or what. And then the OP gives us an update on January 22nd, 2025, saying, update, hi again everyone. A lot has happened since I wrote the post. I figured out what's up with the situation. I bought 2 cameras and set one up in the living room / kitchen and one in the entrance hall. It turns out my apartment actually has 3 keys and not 2, as I thought. My neighbor, also 35 years old, apparently looked after the previous tenant's cat occasionally and had a key to their apartment. She didn't return it after they moved out, or what is now my apartment. We were pretty good friends to start with when I moved in, but she became more and more clingy to the extent that she would call up to 15 times a day. and talk for over 4 hours in total per day. I couldn't even leave the apartment without her wanting to know where I was going. And she would get angry if I didn't respond immediately to her messages, if I was asleep or busy. There was so much drama surrounding her that I couldn't take it anymore and chose to completely cut off contact. She has respected that for the most part, I thought. It turns out that she had let herself into my apartment and gone through my cupboards and drawers, and apparently deliberately moved my things around to make me paranoid. She can hear when I go in and out of my apartment because her entrance is only 5 meters from mine. That's why she always knew when I wasn't home, even though I work shifting hours. I confronted her and said that I would call the police. She panicked and contacted her father, who came over to me. He is a doctor and said that she has borderline personality disorder and refuses treatment because she doesn't think she's wrong. He said she is impulsive, outwardly reacting, and often feels a strong urge to revenge herself on people who she feels have treated her unfairly or let her down. This has apparently been a theme throughout her life with almost all of her relationships, romantic and friendships. He practically begged me not to call the police and said that he would do everything he can to prevent anything similar from happening again. I got him to pay for a locksmith to change the lock, and I said that I would report her to the housing association, who would then report her to the police if she didn't voluntarily move out of the apartment as soon as possible, because I don't want her as my neighbor anymore. They both accepted that, and she has now chosen to move back to her parents at the end of February. So the ending was relatively good for me, albeit very chaotic. And just wow. And for everyone who's watched the channel for a long time, you know that my biggest fear is someone living in my house or going through my house without me knowing. And this story just embodies that. I mean, that is just so creepy. I mean, the OP's neighbor was just going through the OP's apartment randomly and moving things to make her paranoid. I wonder if the neighbor explicitly said that or that's just the OP's theory, but God, that is just so creepy. And the OP is very lucky, to be honest. I mean, this girl obviously was not well, and she could have done something a lot more extreme than just move things around, or could have escalated to that point. So it's good that the OP was aware and realized, hey, something doesn't look right, and ended up catching her neighbor going through her apartment. But yeah, that's just wild. So scary. And on to the next one. My colleague said something so effed up and I don't know what to do. Posted on February 22nd, 2025, and the post reads as follows. Some context. I'm 26 years old and I work as a software developer at this company for 4 years. I have a team lead who is also the owner of the company, with whom I've worked with since I started. He's a normal guy, 37 years old with a wife and 2 little kids. We talk and work together every day at the office. Today, he said something so fucked up, and I just avoided him the whole day, and I don't know how I will be able to go back to work on Monday. We were having a smoke outside of the building at lunch break, and he said this out of nowhere. I want to slice my wife in pieces and eat her. And after I'm done with her, I want to R-word both of the kids before I kill them. I have a demon inside me. That sentence came out of nowhere. We were talking about something non-related to work, and he said that out of fucking nowhere and went back to the previous conversation like nothing even happened. He never said anything like that before. Not even close. Nothing as fucked up as this. In fact, I never even heard him joke before. It was like something else possessed him and made him say that. I don't know what to do. Do I report him to the police? Do I call his wife? Do I quit? I'm at a loss for words. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Some commenter recommends going to the HR at his company, and the OP says, we don't even have HR, since it's a small company of about 12 people. As far as the police goes, you are right. I should call them. but I asked my sister for advice and she said that the police can't do anything in my country unless there is proof or they heard him say that. I mean, what do I even say? My boss said he wants to kill and R-word his family. They might think I'm saying that out of spite or anything. And I guess that's true, but yeah, like even if they need police, it's better to be safe than sorry. It's better to say you did something than your boss do that and you're like, oh, I knew, but I just decided not to call the police. You know, it's like if you guys are ever in a position where something like that happens, I mean, not verbatim like that, but something disturbing, it's a lot better to report it than be sorry later that you didn't, if that makes sense. And then another commenter says, no one would make a joke about something as disgusting as this without having any desire to actually do it. It's extremely understandable that you're uncomfortable, and I would advise you to try and look for a new job. I would also report it to HR and to the police so it's documented. I would also call his wife, but realistically, it will probably get back that it was you who called and can make your life difficult at work. Ideal scenario would be that you can find a new job ASAP and get away from your employer, call his wife immediately, and also report it to the police. I'm sorry you're in that situation, but I thank you for wanting to do the right thing, even though it's difficult. And the OP responds to this saying, I hear you, and thanks for the advice, but it's still surreal to me. I see this guy every day for 4 years, nothing off about him. Like nothing at all. Always professional, always polite. He keeps a photo of his family in his office, for God's sake. It's like a switch was switched off and he said what he said. It's unbelievable, really. The whole thing was 15 seconds. He said that and switched back to the initial conversation. And if I was the OP in this situation, I would think I was going crazy. I would be like not believe that even happened, especially that it just turned off and on. Like it never even segued into that, if that makes sense. It's like not like the OP's boss was just kind of going down this disturbing trail of thoughts and ended up saying that. It was just out of the blue. Like I would think I was going crazy. I'd be like, the fuck did he say? Yeah, that's just crazy. I mean, this is like unbelievable. And another commenter says, replying to the statement the OP made when the OP said, but I asked my sister for advice and she said that the police can't do anything in my country unless there's proof or they heard him say that. And then the commenter says, this is not true. They will 100% investigate. Your sister is not the police. Go ahead and do nothing then. If the family is harmed, you are morally to blame for not doing anything to help. And the OP replies saying, I'm just saying what she told me. Upon reading the comments and thinking it thoroughly, I will definitely call them. It's just hard to process what happened because it's so surreal and out of touch. I'm definitely calling them. Another commenter says, call someone now. Doesn't matter if he meant it or not, or if he's just insane. Better be safe than sorry. And I completely agree with that commenter. And then the OP gives us a new update about a day later. And the OP says, I called the police. They asked me questions if he had ever said anything like this before, if he seemed violent, if I thought his wife and kids were in danger, and I told them he's always been normal until yesterday. But what he said was just very disturbing. They decided to do a welfare check. I don't know all the details, but they spoke to his wife, and apparently he's been under insane stress lately. His mom died recently, and on top of that, he's been struggling to keep the company afloat. Even with everything going on, he's still trying to pay everyone and keep things running. She told them he's not a danger, just completely burned out and breaking under the pressure. The cops didn't take any further action, but told me to call again if he says something like that again. I think that it's out of my hands now. I did everything I could possibly do, and I don't want further involvement. I will give another update if he talks to me when I go to work on Monday. And I mean, it's understandable. Like running a business and your mom dying, very stressful. That's understandable to anybody. Burnout, stressful, whatever. But for you to say something as graphic as that just does not check out. Like someone would be like, well, I just want to quit my job and move out to the woods or some shit like that. They wouldn't be like, I want to kill my wife and R-word my kids. What? That's not what you say if you're burned out or stressed out. I mean, at least me, I wouldn't say anything fucking like that. That's crazy. But yeah, that's just wild. It's like, it's understandable that the police can't really do anything because they're like, well, he's not really showing any sort of, insane tendencies or violent tendencies. We can't really do anything. But also, it's like, why the fuck would you say that? Even if you're stressed out. Like, that's just a crazy, crazy thing to say. And let's get into some comments. Someone says, thanks for the update. Monday should be very interesting. I'd consider starting to look for a lawyer in case of blowback at work. Hopefully, he'll realize how insane he sounded in the moment, recognize you did his family a favor by contacting the police, and at the very least, apologize to you. Unfortunately, I think that's an unlikely scenario, but then again, I don't know the guy. If he's a decent, rational human being who spoke completely out of character during a genuine low point, you never know. Prepare for trouble just in case. You have your own safety and income to protect. Your workplace may forever more be a toxic environment for you. And then the OP replies to this saying, I don't think he'll fire me because he really cares about his employees and never did anything to make any of us uncomfortable. That is, until he said what he said yesterday. But still, I'm prepared to leave because even if he didn't mean what he said and it was stress or I don't know what else, I won't feel comfortable being around him. And I don't blame the OP at all for that. I would be wildly uncomfortable near this guy. I mean, yeah, that'd be so awkward as well to go back and be like, hey man, what's going on? And this guy's like fucking, just saying wild shit like that. Another commenter says, are you in the US? You can try to get him committed for a psychiatric evaluation. The description of demons inside me is often associated with psychosis. Police are not trained in this, and they need the motivation to seek further expertise. You calling, reporting it again might be the motivation. You can also discuss this with the wife. Her husband might be getting very sick before her eyes. And that's a good point. I completely forgot about that end tidbit of what the boss said. The demons inside me. Like, that is completely not stressed out. I mean, like, none of it is, but that's also like, okay, like, that's wild. I mean, just the entire statement's wild, but like, that's also just very concerning, obviously. And then the OP responds saying, I'm not from the US. I live in Eastern Europe. Another commenter says, was anyone else present to hear this or only you? And the OP says, it was only me and him, as we were the only smokers in the company. And then another commenter says, that's an oddly specific threat and not at all normal. Good on you for reporting him. Another commenter says, you might consider an escape plan in case he snaps at work. And then the OP gives us another update about 10 days later, and it reads as follows. Sorry for the late update. So after I went back to work on Monday, my boss wasn't there. The secretary said he called in sick and said that he wouldn't come in the office for a while. I didn't say anything to anyone about what happened, but after work I called him and said that I would quit, and I said I don't feel safe or comfortable working for him anymore. He said he understood and that he is sorry for what he said. He said that he never should have put me in the position, and also mentioned that he and his wife decided that he would be seeing a psychiatrist every day for a while. I wished him the best of luck and told him that I will pick up my things from the office. So that's it. I won't be going back to the office again, and I won't meddle in his personal life. I've done all that I can. Now I'm on the hunt for a new job. Thank you all for the great advice and the support. And then some top comments on this. Someone said, you did your part and you can feel good about the fact that you have saved a lot of people from a potential world of hurt. Someone else said, OMG, you did all the right things. What a gift you've given to that family. And good for you for knowing where your boundaries need to be. I'd be absolutely fully shook if I was in your shoes. I hope you're feeling safe, and I sincerely hope that your boss/colleague and his family are staying safe while he is getting healthy. That kind of intrusive thoughts are so awful, awful, awful. And something has to be gotten ahead of before anyone having them does anything they will regret. And then someone else says, you did the right thing, calling police and having the wife aware. And that is the last we have ever heard from the OP. So I'm interested what ended up happening. Did the boss end up, continuing to work at the job? Did something happen? Did he get diagnosed with something? I don't know. very, very unsettling though. And hopefully the OP was able to find a new job and move on from this. My husband forgot the past 8 years and wants a divorce. Posted on January 28th, 2023. And the post reads as follows. I've been with my husband, Josh, since we were seniors in high school. We broke up shortly after high school graduation, but got back together a year afterwards. We overcame long distance, educational, and job difficulties, unplanned pregnancies, medical issues, everything. He is my first everything, and I cannot imagine life without him. But now, I have to get used to it. 2 months ago, Josh woke up next to me shocked. He asked what I was doing on his chest and who I was. He likes to sometimes wake up to me saying, "Hey, who's this beautiful lady on my chest?" But this was different. And he wouldn't let me touch him, and he started demanding to know where he was and where a woman named Lisa was. I was confused and scared to say the least. I tried to explain that I'm his wife and that he's home safe. Josh yelled he would never marry me in a million years. He started running around our house, looking at photos of us and out of windows. He refused to let me get too close, so I called his mom, and she talked to him on the phone. He freaked out that I knew his passcode, and he started wailing about what was going on. I called his therapist, and he was taken to the hospital. He was put on 5150, and I had his mom come take him when it was up. When he got home a week later, he accepted that I was his wife, but kept saying us being together was wrong. He didn't go to work for a bit, and I noticed he obsessively searching for a woman named Lisa, who went to college he turned down for me. I have never seen this woman, and I wondered if he possibly had an affair in the past. I found messages to a number from him a week later where he begged Lisa to talk to him, but she said she had no idea who he was. The phone wasn't public, so he must have it memorized. I asked his mom about it, and she asked him, to which he said, "She's the love of my life." He stopped and was so distraught, he tried to commit S-word. He went back to the facility and evaluated again. I was given options, but I wanted him home, so he prescribed some medications. His sister stayed with us until he seemed stable, but Josh would act so coldly towards me, asking questions about why we got back together and how upset he was that we were. When we broke up originally, I cursed him out for 3 hours straight and later found out he had made a move on the girl he told me not to worry about. He would say he didn't know how he could love me again after all I said. He refused to do chores and would stay out into the night for hours. Over a month ago, he came to me and asked for a divorce. He said when he told me I should find someone better after high school, I should have done that because he can't bring himself to love me. How can I be with someone who is so obviously embarrassed to be with the old me? I told him he's not that insecure little boy anymore, and he was the love of my life. He had been publicly embarrassed years ago in regards to me. He used to be insecure that I was too good for him, and that everyone knew that. My father, after meeting him, told me he was a loser, but I reminded Josh I chose him because I love him. I told him we moved past that, and I thought we were good. He didn't believe me and said he couldn't imagine being happy with me. He left that night and was fine coming to get his things to move with his sister. He looks at me with nothing but apathy, and it hurts. His sister urged him to try again, and he came back, and I told him I don't want to throw away 10 years together over a mental break. We were both thriving career-wise and had virtually no issues up to this point. We were renovating this very house together. He agreed to try, and we were fine for more than a month. It was like trying to date him again, but everything seemed to be moving in a positive direction. We even slept together, and I thought that was proof things were great. He was so caring and attentive like I remembered, so I figured he was slowly getting there. He initiated it and wouldn't stop telling me how beautiful I was, like he remembered. Then, 3 nights ago, something happened. I came home from work to find Josh sitting quietly at the kitchen table, drinking. He never does that. He had been waiting for me and then slammed divorce papers and his phone onto the table. His phone was open to text messages with explicit photos and mentioning of a night together with a woman named Lisa. Not the same one, but apparently someone he met on Tinder. I will never forget the venom in his voice when he said, "Now will you divorce me?" I went back to her room and locked the door and just cried. I heard him leave and his sister took him away. She texted me an apology and said she's turning him back into the facility, but I told her to just take him. And I'll sign the papers, but not to tell him I was. I'm floored. My mother and brother are flying to help me with this. Everyone is so shocked and I cannot fathom what has happened. We have been trying for a baby too. I'm seeing if I miss my period because we did it unprotected, but now I wonder if I should get tested for STDs too. Jesus, this is one hell of a story. And then let's get into some comments. Someone says, wait, so did he make the whole forgetting you thing up? Or is he genuinely going through a mental episode? And the OP replied saying, I think a mental episode. And then the person commented and replied back to the OP saying, this kind of sounds like frontal lobe dementia. A coworker went through something like this with her husband of decades and 4 grown children. All of a sudden, she was the enemy and their entire lives were upended. I'm sorry you're going through this, whatever it may be. And then the OP gives us an update on February 2nd, 2023, saying, I had a feeling my post might blow up because of how bizarre this situation is, but I didn't expect it to reach as far as it did. I am only writing this now because I saw my post on TikTok and can see a lot of you want an update. To answer some questions, Josh had some S-word tendencies in the past after a traumatic event and had been diagnosed with epilepsy this past summer, which is why his therapist suggested to take him where I did. He never injured his head, and his parents wanted him home. So the doctors diagnosed him with some sort of psychosis, which I was skeptical about, but I trusted his therapist and the doctors. He was discharged and given some pills for his depression. He received an MRI scan 2 days ago, and we are awaiting results. He has not gone back to work since this all happened, and I assumed when he was out, he was with his family. My STBX is a civil engineer, but now believes he is an architect. He doesn't have his architecture license and forgot how to do his engineering job for the most part, so I do not know what will happen with that. He doesn't remember any of his current friends since they all met in college, and the reason he remembers his passcode is because he had the same one since junior year of high school, where we met. So far, he does not want to see me and says he hates talking to me, not because I'm a bad conversationalist, according to him, but because he can't stand talking with me, knowing I'm embarrassed to have dated him and doesn't know why I'm with him again. He said I need to let go of the past because that's not him and that I should find someone better. He's realized while dating me again that he doesn't want to deal with me or anything. I'm physically perfect, but we are too different. I asked why he had intimate time with me, and he replied with, "You're beautiful, and I do think you're amazing, so how could I not?" He supposedly grew into a better man after we broke up originally, and that I need to move on and that he's not here to fix my insecurity problems. I don't know if he had ever wanted to be with me at this point. Josh doesn't know what he will do with his life, but knows what will help is if I'm out of it. In the past, he has belittled me, SA'd me, went after the girl he told me not to worry about, and ghosted me more than once. And I fucking forgave him. Whether this is a tumor or just a lie, some of you have proposed, I realized how bad he had treated me. Things were better, but were they truly good? I don't know why he was with me if everything he had apologized for was a lie. We make the same in terms of money, so I can do fine on my own. I'm beyond heartbroken. What he says sounds like what he's been holding in for some long one way or another. My siblings, friends, and father are encouraging me to enjoy being freed from Josh. They never liked him and always wanted me to be with someone worthy of me. I haven't felt this low in a long time, and I don't know what to do. I'm almost 30 years old, and I feel so ugly and undesirable right now. I've been hit on and pursued by people with Josh while he was rejected by the girl he told me not to worry about. The woman even came to me to explain that I deserve better and that she never understood how I saw him the way I did. That was years ago, and my feelings are all coming back because of his cheating. I stood by him for years, and even in his memories, I never did anything wrong, yet he treats me like this. If a loser like him doesn't value me, someone who is supposedly out of his league, who will? Is this why he is upset to be with me? I'm insecure right now, and have spent the past few days in a funk. I want to wake up in my Josh's arms, and this all is a bad dream. I was never embarrassed to be with him, but now I'm embarrassed I wasn't. All the things he did, I forgave him for, and look where it got me. Everyone has been telling me how lucky I am to get out of the relationship with him. His mother, who has always had some racist ideas about me, even said I'm too good for all of this. I was never the pretty girl, so I worry that if someone as pathetic as Josh, I thought the world of him until this point, everyone else sees him as pathetic, isn't happy to be with me, am I even what he says? Was he flattering me for a moment of S-word? Did he have intimate time with me to make the infidelity hurt more? What happened to the past 8 years of our relationship? I would like to think the results will prove to be a tumor and my Josh is still there. But I can't look at him anymore after all of this. Whatever version of Josh this is, it feels real and horrible. And no, when we had intimate time, I was not trying to get pregnant. We've been trying for so long and protection hasn't been used for a while. I was just happy to be intimate with who I thought was the love of my life. We hadn't gotten pregnant for a while, so I didn't expect to get pregnant now, and I didn't. My period was late, but it came as it did. If I did end up pregnant, I would simply abort. Even if the real Josh was coming back, I would terminate because I don't want to bring a kid into this mess so soon. I got tested for STDs. I'm clean. I haven't signed the papers, but I don't see us working out after this, and he seems to be happy about that part. It's the only thing he's looking forward to. I feel like an insecure teenager again, and I need time. I've always been insecure, so this is bringing up feelings I haven't had in a long time. Thank you for the comments and the awards. Josh's sister wants to keep me in the loop, but I may text her that I want out of it. I will hear if there's a tumor within the next week or so, but I don't want to know anything else. Call me cruel or self-centered or weird, but I don't know who this Josh is, and I do not like him, and I want my own distance. I need to prioritize myself right now, and his family is taking care of him. That's all. And now let's get into some top comments. Someone says, he didn't value you, but you saw the good in him. It isn't your fault. There are many people out there who will value you and give you what you deserve. And the OP replied saying, I wish he did and don't know why he can't. I believe it to be insecurity, and I looked at old messages, but either way, I can't change how he feels or the fact that he doesn't want to be with me. I'm letting him go no matter what, and thankful I didn't get pregnant. I'm deciding what to do with the house, but he isn't welcome and doesn't want to come back. Someone else says, I have to break this down in a numbered list. Number 1, I am so very deeply sorry for your partner R-wording you. It's so confusing when it happens, and it's someone you love. It's like you have to give up a piece of yourself to keep the love. It's awful. I've been there. Number 2, can ask, was your therapist of the same belief system? Because that could have effed you up even more. Number 3, check your credit score. If he is faking it, he might be scamming you. Number 4, his family was racist towards you? Jesus Christ, there's just so much here. Do you think that has a lot to do with how he treated you? That's something for you to think about. Number 5, sign those papers. Work on yourself for a year, and then you're going to find someone that's going to love you how you need and deserve, not how you've been conditioned to accept. And then the OP replied to this saying, I checked my credit score, our joint account like someone suggested, and nothing bad or out of the ordinary. I took money out of it, our shared accounts, and have heard nothing about it from his family, so I believe they are fine with it. I'm black, he's Viet. His family is racist, but I think Josh's racial issues that destroyed our relationship and may have gotten bored of me in our relationship. I think possibly realizing that his mom was no longer an obstacle was a sign that things weren't no longer going to be interesting. It's common for black women to be subconsciously used and mistreated no matter what we do, so I'm not surprised by that part, I hate to say. My therapist was religious but said Josh was wrong for what he did. It wasn't exactly our word, but he was very close. It's nothing that I can prove. Even when it happened, I never reported it because I knew I wouldn't go anywhere. I took it as him being immature and mimicking what he saw in adult videos. But that's no excuse, and I should have walked away then. I didn't, and I'm ashamed. I've signed the papers but haven't handed them over yet. My brother's a lawyer, so he's helping me negotiate and talk with Josh's family about him. His mom has asked to speak with me, but I'm debating if I even want to. She left a voicemail sobbing about us and cried that she feels as if she's losing a daughter. Even Josh's dad, who does not like me, called me to talk and left a voicemail. It's just too much right now. And then the OP posts the final update, posted on February 23rd, 2023, and the post reads as follows. The scans and tests came back. No stroke, tumors, or anything. That's all his sister texted me. I don't know what treatment he's doing or their plan for him because I asked them not to tell me anything more. I'm done being invested. Josh is still adamant that he doesn't love me and doesn't want me back from what I have last heard. Looking back, I don't know if he thought he was settling for me and he had lied to me to make himself look better. After he had used me for intimacy time, I can't ever be with him again in any capacity anyways. I don't know what is happening with his job. All I know is he is not back and possibly won't be. He can't perform his duties, so I don't know what will happen. There's no diagnosis as of yet, but I'm wondering if he did indeed fake this all. If he is, he's really committed to it if he is. I don't know if this baby dream of his and wanting to supposedly be with me forever were just overcompensating for how he really felt, but it does not good dwelling on that. He's not a good person, and I need to accept that. When I talked with his parents over the phone, tensions were high. Mother-in-law was a wreck, begging to know what went wrong, and my father-in-law was encouraging me to stay. I kept telling them that I don't want to know anything regarding him anymore, and if they continued, I would hang up. They wouldn't stop, so I hung up. They texted an apology a day later and asked to come meet me for coffee with sister-in-law. Sister-in-law and I have gotten close over the years, and she convinced me to meet with them. No Josh. I met with the sister-in-law and mother-in-law. Father-in-law did not want me to come and preferred to stay with Josh. My sister-in-law apologized for her brother. She is upset at his treatment. But my mother-in-law just said we weren't meant for each other and we should go our separate ways. She gave me a letter from him, but I chose not to read it. Mother-in-law started relaying what he had been saying, and according to her, Josh was sick of being reminded of how horrible he treated me in the past since he has changed, and it's time for me to stop expecting him to fix all my insecurities. When it comes to the cheating, his mom quotes him that it's difficult comparing the relationship he had with me to the one he never had with other women he has known. Sister-in-law stopped her from continuing and encouraged me to get professional emotional support. We talked about the house, the money, and mutual friends, etc. We left on a good note, and both sister-in-law and mother-in-law said they wish me the best. Since then, I've been going to therapy and dealing with the house. I have an unstable career, so the house should help me a lot with finances. I am recovering from a food disorder I developed within my first few years with Josh, and I have been getting help for that. Josh has not reached out to me or attempted to contact me. I never opened the letter and just gave it to my brother for the divorce proceedings. I don't know if this was all some elaborate way to get out of our marriage, but it worked. I love him, but I'm realizing we were never as good as I wanted us to be. There's nothing left for me with him, and I'm too tired to try. I wish he was a better person, but he's not. And as my mother keeps saying, he deserves someone who accepts him as he is. A piece of shit. I guess he got tired after all these years of trying to be with someone he is not, and every issue was just incompatibility. I always thought shitty people should change, but my mom keeps reminding me he shouldn't have to for me or anyone. I can't explain the Lisa thing, and I think Josh may be stalking her, but that's really none of my business. The friends Josh made in college, he swears he does not know, so I can't say who he communicates with outside of his family. I wish I had a concrete answer about anything, but I don't think I'll have one ever. I needed some time to process everything that has happened. Thank you to all the nice comments and messages. even though I did not have the energy to respond to any. To all of the people who couldn't help but be rude, I hope you're proud of yourself. But my life is changing and the man I've loved no longer loves me no matter what the cause. I owe it to myself to let him go, so I'm going to do that. The Reddit post that turned into a horror story. This may sound familiar to a few of you. I have talked about this case before in this story before, but this is the Reddit thread in whole, and it is just beyond tragic and depressing, but let's get into it. I'm having a hard time coping with my wife, having cheated on me with our neighbor. It has been 476 days since I confronted her about it. How do I know? Because every time I catch myself thinking about it, I tell myself, it's only been X days. Maybe you won't think about it tomorrow. So to go back to the beginning, I had just taken on a new project and new responsibilities at work. I was working a lot of hours, 60 plus per week, and was noticeably stressed. It was in May of 2015 that I noticed that she had added a password to her phone. When confronted about it, she told me it was because she was planning my Father's Day present and didn't want me to ruin the surprise. About a week later, she came to me and told me that she felt guilty keeping a big secret from me and told me that she was having our brother, a contractor, build a home office for me as my present. It struck me as odd, as in our 6 years together, she has never said she felt guilty about anything and always insists that she never regrets anything in her life. Time goes on, her phone is still password protected, and things just don't feel right. I see her using her phone and smiling to herself more and more often, but when I ask her what she's doing, she says nothing and puts her phone away. So one morning, I wait for her to get in the shower, and I grab her phone before her has the password. I go through her messages and find that she is texting the neighbor. Quote, "I'm all covered in frosting. You want to lick it off?" There were no other messages to the neighbor, but I found out later that was because she had set up her phone to delete messages after a certain amount of time. I felt uncomfortable with it, but I knew she had a weird sense of humor, and I thought she would never do anything to hurt me. More time goes by, and the neighbor is spending more and more time at our house, but the office is being completed slower and slower. I can't help but worry that something isn't right, so I start checking her location using Google Timeline. It was at this point that I realized there was a large gap in her GPS history because she was turning off her phone's GPS. Fast forward to July, and at this point the paranoia is driving me nuts, so I tell her that I need to install new antivirus on her phone. While she has it unlocked for me, I install anti-theft software so I can remotely turn the GPS back on and set up AT&T message backup and restore so I can read all of her messages from that point on from my computer. The next day, my mother asks to spend time with my two kids, so my wife drops them off with her and has the day to herself. I watch my wife's activity from work as she spends the day trying to meet up with the neighbor, but is unsuccessful because he is busy with another job site. That night, we get the kids back from my mom's house and we go out to dinner with the neighbor, his girlfriend, and his son. My wife and his girlfriend are having a good time drinking, laughing, and just joking around. His girlfriend mentions that she would like to go see Magic Mike XXL. I say it's a good idea. I'll watch the kids so my wife and her can go. So my wife and her go, and the neighbor and I go back to my house so the kids can play video games together. The kids are back in my son's room playing games, and the neighbor is sitting across from me on the other couch. It is at this point that my wife starts texting him. She is describing intimate acts that she would like to perform with him, and he is reciprocating. She tells him to check his Snapchat, and at the time I get a Snapchat from her too, and it is of her doing things to herself in a bathroom stall. They keep talking, try to figure out when they can meet up and have intimate time. They decide on Monday morning after I go to work. So in my head, I had already planned to pretend to leave and circle back to catch them, but then they tell each other that they love each other, and it is all I can do not to leap off the couch and knock them out. But I contain myself and continue reading the conversation unfolding in front of me. Then he tells her, "You're my girl now," to which she replies, "Always have been," ending with him writing, "and always will be." My wife and the neighbor's girlfriend return from the movie, and I ask them politely to sit down. I then ask the kids to stay in my son's room and shut the door. I return to the living room and confront my wife and the neighbor. I say, "So you two in love with each other, huh?" My wife goes into full-blown denial mode and the neighbor's girlfriend starts smacking him. I ask my wife if she has been texting him. She says no. So I show her the text messages. She admits to it, but says it was the first time it had gone that far. I ask my wife if she had sent him pictures. She says no. So I show her the picture. She admits it, but says it was the first time. I ask her if she had had intimate time with him, and she says no, because I didn't wait to catch them having intimate time together. I didn't have evidence to prove her wrong, so that one stays unresolved. I tell her that I am leaving her. She tells me that she will make sure I never see my kids again if I do. She planned on using the fact that I attempted S-word in high school to prove me unfit to have the children. She continues to say that it was my fault for being so busy with work and stressed out, that she just wanted someone she could talk to. Then she gives me an ultimatum to decide what I'm going to do, or she will decide for me. The neighbor's girlfriend starts defending the two of them, saying that it couldn't have been serious if they weren't having relations, and that my wife and I are too perfect together to let this break us up. The neighbors go home, and my wife and I argue for the rest of the night about what we are going to do. We go to bed separately, having not resolved anything. We keep going back and forth on the subject all weekend and finally settle on we were going to separate temporarily while we figure out what we want. I was going to stay in the house, and she was going to take the kids and go to her mom's house. That Monday, I go to work and get a text from her in the middle of a meeting, with my bosses stating that she'd explained things to our kids, but that they were upset and I need to explain it to them also. I get home from work to find my kids crying. She had told them that mommy had to move out because dad was mad at her. When my son wanted to stay with me, she told him that he can't. My son put it together that if mommy has to move out because I'm mad at her and he must move out, then I must be mad at him too. My daughter was crying because my son was. I don't think she was old enough to understand what was even happening. It was at that moment I realized she was going to drag the kids through hell if I left her, so I swallowed my feelings and begged her to stay. She agreed and insisted that I apologize to our neighbors since we were still going to need to hang out with them because our sons are good friends. I hate it, but I do it anyway. We still hang out with them from time to time, and they come to our various birthdays and holiday parties, but I do anything for my friends, and I behave every single time. Things die down for a while. I still think about it constantly. I worry how I can keep from making her so unhappy that she cheats on me again. Then almost a year from the original incident, around Father's Day again, she sends him pictures again. She claims it was an accident, that she meant to send them to me instead. I don't fully believe her, but I move on anyway. Things have been quiet on that front for about 4 months now, but I still think about it constantly. This is going to sound stupid, but I feel like I have a part of my brain that I can't shut off. That is always thinking. I used to use that to solve programming problems, and it made me very good at my job, but ever since this incident, the only thing it thinks about is her and him, and if I did the right thing. My job performance has suffered, and I feel like I haven't gotten sleep in months. I'm afraid that after this much time and the fact that I begged her back, that to say that I want a divorce now would only make her feel more vindictive towards my children and I. I just feel like I have put myself so deep in a hole that I can never get back out. I haven't really talked to anyone about this. I didn't want to talk to my mom about it because I felt like she would treat my wife differently, and I don't need the two fighting any more than they already do. I tried talking to one friend about it, but his advice was to put my trust in God, but that was not much solace for me as I am an atheist. So I have no clue what to do with my feelings or how to even move on from this. And then the OP gives us an update saying, "I'm taking your advice." And he says, instead of trying to fix something she doesn't want to fix, she has refused counseling several times in the past before this even happened. I'm going to get myself and my kids out. I met with an attorney next week. Thank you for everyone for helping me see how far I had my head up my ass. And then the OP gives us another update number 2, saying thank you. I would like to give a heartfelt and sincere thank you for the advice and support I've received here. No one could have foreseen the tragedy that resulted from me filing for divorce. You guys perform a wonderful service to those in need, and I hope you continue to do so in the future.
And a lot of you may be wondering what tragedy he is referring to here. And I'm just going to summarize because there are news articles and 911 phone calls, but I just won't include those here. I have a longer video on this entire case, but the OP's wife, after being told he was going to file for divorce, that night they were sleeping separately. The OP's was in the basement, and the OP's wife murdered her 2 kids and made a phone call about it, claiming to 911 saying, "I just murdered my 2 children." And just beyond terrifying and horrifying story. I mean, it went from a cheating scandal, which was her fault, obviously, to the OP giving her the benefit of the doubt as many times as anyone possibly could. And then the OP finally gets the balls to realize, hey, this isn't right. I'm going to file for divorce. And what his wife does is murder his 2 kids. Just so sad and terrifying, and just so horrible. And the OP continues saying, "I would never ask for donations. I think it is incredibly tacky. I've worked very hard for everything I have in life, but because there has been a GoFundMe created by her family, and I can't guarantee they won't turn around and use it to support her in some way. I just ask that you help spread the GoFundMe that my employer created for me." And yes, he created a GoFundMe. Obviously, the link no longer works. I guess it's just because it's so old. But I mean, this case just shocks me to the core. It is truly so horrifying and so sad, and you can just feel nothing but horrible for Jason, the OP. And let's continue. The OP says, "If anyone has an experience with GoFundMe that could give me advice, it would be greatly appreciated. My former mother-in-law has created GoFundMe using my last name and pictures of the children to raise funds for the mother who murdered them. She intends to use them for her daughter's medical and legal expenses. What can/should be done about this?" And just to add, the OP's wife didn't die. She's going to jail because she murdered her 2 kids. So that is just beyond effed up that the OP's wife's parents would even legally support them. It's like, if my daughter murdered somebody, I would never in a million years be like, "Oh yeah, well, those legal expenses will be expensive for you. I'm not going to help you out. You murdered your 2 children, you psychopath." And God, it's just so aggravating, so fucking horrible. And then the OP, Jason, gives us another update saying, "Final update. An update from Jason in Hell. The first thing you may notice is this is being posted from a different account. I deleted the original Jason in Hell account in a knee-jerk reaction to seeing my Reddit posts in the news. I guess the first question to answer is, how am I doing? And to that, I would say I'm doing well. I have bad days, but I would think that is to be expected. It is just important that, or anyone going through something, continue to use the support of friends and family as well as good coping skills to not let myself be completely defeated on those bad days. I won't lie, I struggle to get back to where I am. For some time, I refused to sleep because of a combination of fear of what I would wake up to and nightmares about that night. And just to quickly add, the OP woke up to that. I mean, he fell asleep, said goodnight to his kids, and his wife murdered the kids in the middle of the night. I mean, just beyond horrible. And Jason continues saying, "For a time I used alcohol to sleep, but my family loved me enough to take it from me before it became a damaging and permanent habit. I was hospitalized because I did have thoughts of committing an S-word because I miss my children so much. From that, I learned that you should never be ashamed of your mental health, and not seeking treatment will only make it worse, not better. We have all heard it, but if you or a loved one is struggling, seek immediate assistance. Your life is too important to throw away in a moment of weakness. By putting off treatment, I've only caused everything else in my life to suffer. I lost my job and became reclusive to the house. But don't worry, I have been back to work since December and I have nearly regained my former position and salary, so I'm good and require no assistance. The second question would be, how do I feel about the sentencing? That is something that is hard to answer, because no matter what the sentence, nothing will bring back my beloved children. Do I think she should have gotten the death penalty, which Indiana has? No, I do not. She wanted to die, and after 9 years of giving her what she wanted, when she wanted it, I was not going to give her another thing. Do I think the life sentence will have any appreciable effect on her? I don't know. One thing she always stressed for the entire time that I knew her was that she lived her life without any regrets. Even after I caught her cheating on me, she continued to say she had no regrets. As for the ex-in-laws, they continued to be a problem to this day. Shortly after everything happened, they changed the locks on their home. I was renting from them with my property still inside. After trying to civilly negotiate the return of the property, it was required that I involve law enforcement. That is an ongoing legal battle. A member of the family accused me of stealing property I had purchased from them prior to the death of the children and threatened to take action against me unless I paid double what I had already paid them. I alerted the authorities, and as far as I know, that is resolved. They continue to make visiting my children's grave difficult. During the 1-year anniversary, they sat in their truck and just watched me the whole time I was visiting their grave. Because of that, I don't visit the grave as often as I would like to. If I can impart on you something I've learned through all of this, is that you should always take the time to be with the ones you love. It doesn't matter if they're asking you to read The Pokey Little Puppy for the millionth time, or asking you to play Smash Bros, even though you both know they will wipe the floor with you every single time. Just do it, because you never know what time will be the last time. Always make sure they know how much you love them. I had the fortune that the last thing my children ever heard me say was, "I love you. Good night. I will see you in the morning." And I don't know, this entire case just destroys me personally. It's just so sad and depressing and horrifying. And I mean, yeah, you just truly see the OP's thoughts at the end, Jason's thoughts. And just that final sentence is just, I mean, that final paragraph is just almost life-changing to me. I mean, yeah, everyone takes everything, or not everyone takes everything for granted, but everyone takes something for granted, whether that be your job, your house, or whatever. You kind of put some things to the wayside, or your family or relationships. But the first time I ever read this post, which was about a year ago when I made a video on it, it really changed the way I saw things and how you should never take anything for granted, because it can be gone like that. And he really, really drives that home at the end. And there is a 911 call. I'm not going to include it. I just don't think it fits in this video. And there is news articles. For some reason, I can't open them. Maybe they're deleted. This happened it's a long time ago. But yeah, just that final paragraph is just so destroying. I mean, it goes from the original post being, "I'm having a hard time coping with my wife, having cheated on me with my neighbor." That in and of itself is horrible. But for it to spiral into what it did, the OP's wife murdering her children and his children, is so sad. And just that final sentence of what the OP said, saying, I had the fortune that the last thing my children ever heard me say was, "I love you. Good night. I will see you in the morning." It's just beyond depressing. And a lot of you have probably heard this story before, but I don't see it often read out in full, and how you can just see the events played out. But yes, just a beyond depressing Reddit story. And I can only hope that Jason, wherever he is doing better now. And also that his children rest in peace. And they were taken from the world way, way too soon. I hate my special needs sister, and I'm done hiding it. When my younger sister was born, she almost died from hypoxia. She suffered severe brain damage to the point where doctors doubted she would survive. She has survived to 16 years old now, however. She is about as close to brain dead as a living person can get. She can't move, she can't communicate, she can't eat or drink or on her own. She has no control over her bowels, so she has to wear diapers. She will never get better, and she will never live a normal life. Despite that, my mother has ruined our family, hoping she will have a miracle and recover. My mother has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on my sister, everything from wheelchairs to doctor's visits. We had to live in a one-bedroom apartment for 11 years because my mother spent all the money she made on my sister. Nothing she bought made any difference. She will always be a drooling mess. Since my mother believes she will get better, she made me treat her like she was a real sister. I lost all my friends growing up because my mom made me take her everywhere I went. If I told my mom that I was going to the park, she would say, "Oh, a park. That sounds like something Jess would like. Take her with you." Not once did she stop to think about how absurd she sounded talking to her. One time, my mom took her to a movie theater. They made it barely 30 minutes through the movie before staff kicked her out because my sister was making so much noise coughing and choking on her saliva. Despite all of this, I somewhat tolerated my sister. Until a few hours ago. I mentioned to my mother that I had planned a date with a girl I met at work. My mom said, "That sounds like fun, but I'm having coffee with a friend from college, so can you take care of Jess while I'm gone?" I told her that I couldn't because of my date, and suggested that she hire a babysitter. My mother then said that I should just take her with me. And I just exploded. I told her how stupid she was for suggesting such a thing, bringing my severely disabled, crippled sister along with me on a date with a girl because you are too lazy to hire a sitter. How crazy are you to think that's a good idea? Every moment of my life has been about Jess. I'm not supposed to have a career or family of my own because I need to take care of Jess when my mom dies. My mom even discouraged me from going to college because then I wouldn't be there to take care of her. I told her how much damage she has done to the family because of my sister. We struggled financially my entire life, not because my mom is low income, but because she spent all our money on Jess. We drove a crappy 1996 Subaru Outback for years, and my mom couldn't afford to buy a new car. But she had no problem shelling out thousands to see a specialist doctor who will say the same thing every other doctor has. My sister is a glitch. She's not supposed to be here. She will never live a normal life. There is no reason she shouldn't be put in a home. I'm just so frustrated right now. I'm thinking about cutting ties with her and reconnecting with my father. My dad divorced her once she realized that the rest of his life was going to be taking care of Jess. I can't fault him. My mom forbid me from contacting him, but he's not that bad of a guy here. And then the OP gives us an update saying, "Thank you all for your kind words. I realize now that my emotions should be placed towards my mother instead of my sister. As for everyone who says I should contact my father, that is my plan, but he's not easy to reach. I haven't spoken to him or seen him for a very long time, and he lives across the country. I don't have any way to get his number or email address, so I'm looking through Facebook and Instagram to see if he may have an account I can message. I also don't have anyone on his side of the family who I can ask to get us in touch. As for my living situation, I am still living at home. I plan to stay for a while longer until I have saved enough to afford an apartment or enlist in the Navy. I work part-time while I'm in community college, so I'm not making much. I hope I will have another update in the near future, and I hope things get better." And then the OP gives us an update about a month later saying, "I hate my special needs sister and I'm done hiding it. My mom is dead. I came home to a bunch of police cars around my home. My mom committed S-word, and a neighbor saw her from the window. I didn't get a look at her, and I'm glad I didn't. I don't think I could handle seeing anyone like that. She seemed stressed a couple of days before, but I didn't expect this. Right now, plans are getting set to place Jess in a home. She will have around-the-clock care. I'm not sure what stage of grief I'm in right now. I have a place to stay for a while, and I'm getting my finances in place. I miss my mom. She wasn't a good mom, but she was my mom. I tried reaching out to my father through a family member on his side. To make a long story short, he basically said that he had moved on from us, and that he didn't want me intruding on his new family. Pretty much what I expected, but it still hurt to hear my dad say he wants to forget about me. I'm staying at a friend's house right now. I'm working and I'm doing school. Things are still rough, but I'm pushing through. Thanks for the well wishes. And just, holy shit. Yeah, these cases in this video have been just beyond brutal. I was not expecting that this case was already brutal enough with how the OP was confessing his feelings towards his family, towards his sister, and towards his mom and dad. But Jesus, that ending was just, I mean, you could hear me while reading it. I just wasn't expecting that at all. That was, that just hit me so hard. And I mean, obviously the OP had his, problems with his mom, and he said even at the end she wasn't a good mom, but it was my mom. Like, that is just so heartbreaking. This entire story and threads were just so heartbreaking. That truly was just one of the most brutal threads I've ever. I mean, this video is filled with brutal threads, but that one just hit me so hard because I was just not expecting it at all. Oh my God. I feel so horrible for everyone involved. Rest in peace to the OP's mom. I mean, she was just taking care of her daughter. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, just, oh my God. And I just feel so bad for Jess. Who knows where she is now, but hopefully she's having good care. And hopefully the OP has been able to move on from this. But just, Jesus, man. That was just beyond mind-blowing. I was not expecting that at all. That was so brutal. Yeah. Jesus. Unsettling ad on YouTube while I was drifting to sleep. And the post reads as follows. The other night, I had a long YouTube video playing to help me fall asleep when I was awoken by screaming from my phone. I checked to see what was going on and saw what looked like a video of a person that was made by one of those creepy AI-generated images. Those ones that kind of resemble a person but are very hazy and disproportionate, uncanny valley type vibes. The character in the video was screaming, "I don't want to be in this dream anymore," in my half-sleep terror. I quickly closed the app. I'm curious if what I was experiencing was a dream that I was having, or if this was an actual ad being played on YouTube. If it's the latter, I'd love to know what it could have possibly been advertising. Does this sound familiar to anyone? And then the OP says, edit. Woke up to a bunch of replies in here. Thanks for all the help. I'll try to check out our suggestions during my lunch break today. And then the OP says some additional info. Some of you asked for clarity on what I meant by AI-generated image. This was an example I found online of an AI-generated image that vaguely resembles a human form, and the OP provides a photo, and it is just one of those like old AI-generated photos that are just uncanny and very, very weird. And the OP says, think this with a dark black background. The character was a topless male, I think, and was the only one on screen. And that is very, very weird, obviously. I mean, like what could have possibly the ad been advertising for? But let's get into some comments. Someone says, YouTube has a tendency to send out creepy ads at nighttime. I remember one time I was trying to listen to calming music when having problems sleeping, when I got an ad that said, play, skip, and die over and over again. It was a promo for some horror movie. Someone else says, reminds me of when YouTube briefly had ads for the film The Nun. Wouldn't have been too scary if you'd clicked on it looking for a horror movie trailer, but a loud jump scare was not something I was expecting watching film reviews on autoplay. And then someone else says, if it really was an ad, remember that ads are intended to be memorable. After so many shocking things we've all seen, those ad campaigners are forever pushing boundaries with no respect for anyone's mental well-being. And that is the last we have ever heard from the OP regarding that ad, and no one really figured out what it was. But I just think it's so creepy how there's ads out there that just advertise something so weird and creepy. I just thought that was very unnerving because, like, imagine you're falling asleep and then boom, this weird ad with an AI generated, like, that's crazy. The OP could be dreaming, but who knows? And for everyone watching right now, I know a lot of you guys fall asleep to my videos. Hopefully you don't get a creepy ad right now. Hopefully not. A guy I met at a work event out of town won't stop bothering me. Originally posted on May 10th, 2023, and the post reads as follows. Hello. I created a throwaway so that I can share it anonymously. Around 10 months ago, I, 25 female, went on my first work-related trip to a different city. There, I met Jerry, who's 43M. I know there is a huge age gap, but I know myself. I'm generally into older guys. I met him at the hotel lobby I was staying at. He asked me out for a coffee. I said yes. He was really charismatic. I was blushing the entire time. We spent a good weekend together. No intimacy, by the way. We did a kiss multiple times. He gave me his number and he didn't want me to add him on social media because he said he doesn't use it. He did give me an Instagram ID to contact. This really made me a bit suspicious. I had this gut feeling that something about him was not right. So I decided to search and do some background work. I tried to search him on Facebook and other social media, but I hit a wall. I remembered that he gave me a business card. It was a card from his company. I also asked for a friend's help to find something on him. I don't know. I was just adamant of finding some dirt on him. Eventually, we did find some interesting facts. That jerk is married with 2 kids. I saw his kids. One is about 16 to 17 years old. Another one is around 10 to 11. I wanted to throw up. I know my own sister tried to commit S-word because her boyfriend cheated on her. I know the pain even if it is secondhanded. I cut off all contact with him. I blocked his number, and a few weeks after, I totally ghosted him. I saw him at the parking lot of my office. He knew where I worked. Again, my fault because I told him where I worked. He asked me why I didn't return his calls and blocked him on everything. I screamed at him, called him a liar. I told him I knew he was married, he had kids. In fact, his oldest son is closer to my brother's age. This is really disgusting. He broke down crying and begging me not to leave him. He kept ranting how unhappy he is in his marriage. He just wanted someone to love him. And when he saw me, he fell in love with me and he wants to be with me. I told him this is not possible. He is married. I cannot do this to a woman. Even if I don't know her, I have a decency to not ruin someone's marriage and forever be known as a homewrecker. He kept begging. I had to threaten him that I would shout so that people can throw him out. His calling and stalking didn't stop. I asked a friend and coworker of mine to escort me to my car because I was so afraid that Jerry would come towards me. He sent me messages after messages saying he was sorry, that he can be a better man if I'm with him. I had to deactivate my social media for a while. For like 5 months, it was calm and quiet. I had no issue. Then again, I get a message in my email from Jerry saying that he has divorced his wife for my sake. And since he is not with his wife now, he and I can be together. I was really creeped out by this. I told him over and over again, I do not want him. His harassment didn't stop. He threatened to ruin my career. He blamed me for ruining his marriage because I made a move on him. It is not true. He was the one who approached me first. I was just a little friendly with him. If I knew he was married back then, I would have never ever reciprocated the flirting. I feel lost. I keep blaming myself that maybe all of this won't happen if I had not been friendly with him. I also don't want him to ruin my career, but I'm scared for my life. And then the OP makes an edit saying, I think I should mention I am not from the USA. The police in my area are corrupt. Jerry is in a very high position in his company. He can easily ruin my career. I'm collecting evidence because of his harassment. And then in the comments, a lot of people asked if he is lying about the divorce and moving away. And then the OP says, actually, I don't know if he just divorced or just separated. He told me he left his wife for me as if it would impress me. And I thought about moving, but it is scary because right here, I have my family and friends. If I move to a new place, he might come there as well and I would have no support. And then some people advised to block him, and the OP said, he is blocked everywhere. I even changed my number. I also opened a private social media account that no one knows. I need social media for work too. But still he finds a way to pop up in my life. And then the OP makes an update about 2 weeks later, titled, My stalker's wife wants to contact me. Should I go? And the post reads as follows. Hi. A couple of weeks ago, I posted here asking for help. A guy I met on a work trip lied about being single. He has a wife and kids too. He has been stalking me. He told me he left his family for me, so I should be with him because he made a big sacrifice for me. I have decided to file a restraining order, but these things take time in my country. But I have my dad and uncle with me. They are helping me find a new place and probably a new job. As soon as I can serve him with the restraining order, I can be relieved. But I'm afraid it will work or not because he seems mad. His messages have been reduced because I threatened to call his wife. But the problem is yesterday. His wife emailed me and said that she wants to meet me. She said in details that she knows that her husband has some connection with me. I have never met this woman in my life. I don't know why she wants to meet me. I'm guessing she wants to talk to me, but then again, he told me he left his wife. Then how did his wife know about my information or even my email? If I meet her, my stalker could know I talked to his wife. I am really scared about my life. What should I do? A part of me thinks that she might help me with my case. Has anyone ever been in my position before? And then most of the comments say stuff like people saying that is not his wife and that is him pretending to be his wife, if that makes sense. And then the OP responds saying, I know there's a chance that could be him, but the woman seems desperate. She told me she found something about her husband and wanted to warn me. I don't know how much of it is true. And in my opinion, it's kind of scary how the OP is not really even considering that, because in my mind, it's pretty easy to fake being someone online, especially through an email. It's not like the OP's wife called her. It's just an email. The stalker or Jerry or whatever his name is could just be pretending to be his wife so easily. So I don't know why the OP is even considering it, because in my opinion, just go to the police and tell them that she reached out and go from there. But then the OP gives us an update on the stalker's wife, posted 3 days later. And the post reads as follows. So I took your advice and didn't want to see her, which is great. We had a couple of email exchanges. I told her clearly under no circumstances I want to meet someone who I cannot trust. Whatever she has to say, she can say it in my email. She understood. I thought she would be opposed to this idea. She told me that she has been having doubts about her husband for a long time, so she hired someone to keep an eye on him. There she found out he has been having an affair with multiple women. The first time he did this, she forgave him, but this time he is only stuck on me. She said that she found some pictures of me on his laptop. She shared a file which contained some pictures of me coming out of my office, me going to the gym, and me going out to eat. Jeez, that is so scary. And then the OP says, I was shaking. I was in a very emotionally vulnerable state after seeing that I cannot be safe in my own life. I felt like I am being watched even now that I am typing this. Imagine being a prisoner in your own home. I ended up telling the wife to have a Zoom meet for 5 minutes. I used a disposable account, and just for extra safety, I had the Zoom call on a public space along with a friend. I do not trust anyone at this point. I gave her some conditions that I will not be showing my face. If she wants to show her face to me, then that's fine. It is up to her. I saw her for the first time. She looked like the woman I saw in Jerry's pictures with his wife and kids. She was basically crying and telling me that she had made a huge mistake. She should have left that time, and now he is bringing shame to her as well. I didn't say much, just the story of how me and Jerry met. Also, Jerry lied. He didn't leave his wife. He was not separated from her, but I'm sure he will be now. I feel so exposed. I can't believe this is even happening to me. I always saw this happen in movies. I'm moving in with my cousin because I do not feel safe anymore. I wish I never met him. I feel disgusted that I kissed him and I hugged him. I don't think any amount of shower is enough to wash all of that away. Also, I feel guilty that I broke a family too. Thanks for listening to me vent. I don't think I'll update anymore until I get the restraining order. And then the OP says, to be honest, I do not feel safe at all. This guy's been stalking me for God knows how long. I cannot even go to my office without any escorts. In a perfect world, I would have had him locked up for life. And then the OP gives us an update 3 months later, titled Final Update. A guy I met at work event out of town won't stop bothering me. And it reads as follows. This will be my final update here. If you are new to seeing this, the gist is this guy I met at work trip lied to me about being single. He has a wife and kids. He stalked me. I issued a restraining order against him. So I just want to say there has been a huge, shocking moment. Basically, my stalker, Jerry, tried to pull a Chris Watts. He attacked his wife and kids. His wife left him and he basically went to her place where she was staying with the kids, and he tried to kill her with a knife. Before the police could arrive, he already did damage to her. I don't know details, but he punched her and busted up her face, and she was in a coma for 3 weeks. I heard she is doing better now. Their oldest child got injured trying to help his mother. I wish nothing but good prayers for her and her family. That lady was nice and was so gentle with me, knowing I was AP of her husband. I did send her flowers, but I didn't want to visit them. Needless to say, that bastard is in jail. He'll be serving a long, long time, but the hearing is in September. But the amount of evidence they collected against him is enough to put him for life. I'm happy that I'm finally free. I no longer have to live in fear, but I still get scared at night. I still feel like someone is watching me. I'm still in therapy. I've become so isolated because of this incident that I've started to become neurotic and doubted my close friends. Anyways, I might delete this account now, but thanks for everyone who helped me. And just, oh my God, that is so scary. And just such a bad scenario. I mean, the OP was innocent. She didn't know this guy was married and had kids and got roped into this huge ordeal. And it's so sad that Jerry took it out on his wife and kids. Obviously, thoughts and prayers for them, like the OP said. But also imagine if he did that to his wife and kids and then went to the OP's house and did the same thing, or vice versa. Like, the OP is very, very lucky because it is known that Jerry was stalking her for a long time because Jerry had all those pictures of her in the gym, leaving the office, etc. And the OP is just so lucky that Jerry wasn't following her one day and decided to do something horrible like that. Obviously, I'm not trying to take away from what happened, but still, the OP is very lucky that that didn't happen. But God, just so scary. And there's just so many weirdos out there. So everyone watching, please be careful. And just be careful with who you trust because you never know what sort of intentions they might have. Found bags of underwear buried in my backyard. Is it a crime scene or creepy trash? I'm not sure if this is the right place for this question, but here it goes. While removing some old stumps/roots in my backyard, I just bought the place a few months ago, so this is my first time digging back there. I found 5 grocery bags filled with what looks like mostly women's underwear, socks, and at least one shirt buried about 1 to 2 feet deep. Pretty clear someone intentionally buried them here. No obvious signs of a weapon or blood, but they are all covered in dirt, and I wasn't too keen on picking through them. None of my personal theories are particularly savory, but is it worth reporting? Or should I just throw it all away? Also, if there's a better place for this question, please let me know. And then the OP gives us an update saying, I've called the police non-emergency line and they routed me to the local police station. Desk officer didn't pick up and voicemail is full. Going to go in and show them pictures. And then the OP gives us another update saying, I went to the police station and showed the officer at the front picture of the bag. He thought it looked weird but rerouted me back to the non-emergency line. I called again, and now they're sending out an officer to take a look. And then the OP gives us a final update saying, cops finally came, said there was a shooting or something that held them up. They didn't even look at the stuff, but are pretty convinced it's just trash. One of them thought it might be some, quote, weird ritual thing. They didn't want to take it in, so to the trash it goes, I guess. And that seems very weird. I mean, everyone's so casual about this. I mean, if it was just clothes, yes, some weirdo buried it in their backyard. But it being women's underwear adds a little bit of some sort of weird, like, I don't know, it just makes it weirder, obviously. I mean, underwear is weirder than clothes. And so that's very weird. And I feel like the police were so casual. They're just like, yeah, well, anyways, it's a weird ritual, but still, like, they wouldn't test it, see if there's any sort of blood residue or something, if it was involved in a crime. I mean, who knows? So yeah, that's very, very weird. And now let's get into the comments. Someone says, it wouldn't hurt to call the non-emergency police line and let them know what you found. It's better that they know about some mundane thing than some terrible unspoken crime disappearing into history. Anything else notable about the clothing? And the OP says, thanks, that's perfect advice. Only that it looks like mostly women's underwear. Looks kind of ripped up, but I don't know if that's from the little roots that grow through it or what. And yeah, this is just so weird. And we just have not gotten an update since then, which is so upsetting. And the comment I just read is the only comment the OP ever replied to. The OP has not been active on his account ever since. But I just think it's so weird because, I mean, sure, someone could have just thrown away their trash underground, which is very weird. But that just, it just seems very suspicious, obviously, and it's annoying that the police didn't really care. But what are your guys' thoughts? Vehicles stopping outside of my house and knocking on my door at 4 a.m. when I'm home alone. Hi there. I'd like some answers, if possible, to help settle my mind, as this just happened for the second time under the same exact circumstances as the first time. And needless to say, I'm freaked out. The context: I'm a 22-year-old female living with her parents in the southern UK. The first time this happened, I was scared sick, but was willing to brush it off as a harmless incident. Now, it's happened again, under the same exact conditions as the first time, and I can't help but think it's just too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence. A few months ago, my parents took a week-long trip by themselves, so I had the house to myself for a week. I don't drive or have a vehicle, and they took their car. So my driveway was empty for the first time since they were gone. I kept dim lights on at night and doors locked at all times. About halfway through their trip, the first incident happened. I like to stay up late at night so I can spend more time with my long-distance partner. So I was easily still awake at 3 or 4 a.m. I live in the suburbs, and cars driving around outside my house is unusual at the time of night. So when I heard an engine on standby outside my house, I was curious. Went to peek outside, and there was a car right in front of my driveway. It stayed there for about half an hour. During this time, the driver got out, knocked on my door a few times before sitting back in the car and browsing on their phone. Then they drove off about 30 minutes later and came back about 10 minutes later to sit outside of my neighbor's house for another 5 minutes before leaving completely. I was scared fucking shitless. Having strangers outside / trying to interact with my house while I'm home alone is one of my biggest fears. But after I calmed down, I was willing to chalk it up to maybe a driver got the wrong address and was trying to find the right one. This would be scary story over if the exact same thing did not literally just happen. Once again, my parents are out of town, car gone, I'm home alone. It was 4 a.m. I was up late talking to my partner and I hear another fucking engine running outside my house. This time, it's a motorbike. The driver is stood staring up at my window, whistling. I can only assume to try to get my attention. My room light was visibly on from the outside, intermittently. I hear him knock on my door a few times. He has a phone in his hand and is waving his arms around. I peeked out again from behind my curtains for about 2 seconds. I think he saw me as I moved against my wall, and he walked to the side to try to keep his eyes on me. This shit made my blood run cold. After about 5 minutes, I hear him talking on his phone. I can't make out what he is saying. Another 5 minutes pass and I hear him leave on his bike. Maybe I am way too paranoid about this, but these two instances are literally the only times I have ever seen this happen to my house. What are the chances both times happen while I'm home alone? No vehicle in the driveway. And at fucking 4 a.m. in the morning. Please, help me gain some peace of mind before I lose it completely. Edit 1. Thank you all for all the comments. I messaged my parents again after it happened and they've come home for a day and they have bought a Ring camera to install. So even though they're going again, I will have a Ring camera with an alarm and floodlight if anyone does come back. I feel a little bit safer with that at least. They will also be making a police report given that this has happened twice now, and if it happens again, I will be calling 999 straight away. No, both times this happened, I did not see any food delivery bags with either of the vehicles/persons, which made me think it was a driver trying to pick up someone instead of a food delivery, but I can't know for sure. Thank you for all the help, and while I am still adamantly freaked out, I feel better with the Ring camera now. I just hope they don't come back so I won't need to use it, LOL. Edit 2, my neighbors also saw the guy last night and came over today to let us know in case I didn't know. So at least my neighbors are also aware that something weird is going on. My Ring camera is up and has an alarm, so I feel safer. And now let's get into some of the top comments and theories that people have. Someone says, where I live, you have two main options here. A, somebody's drug dealer is pretty bad with directions/addresses, or B, your house was going to get robbed if you weren't home. Someone responds saying, I should think B is much more likely, given this happened twice, and given they are loitering outside for so long, which, as any drug addict knows, is very much not something dealers like to do. I don't think this is truly sinister, in that they meant to hurt her, but they probably were planning to burgle the house. OP's wife believes OP and their children are clones. Hi, this is my first time posting and I'm not an English native speaker. I'm also sorry for my mess of a text, but I'm just at the end mentally. My 38M wife, who's 36 female, started to become increasingly hostile towards me, the kids, and her own parents. Our kids are 12, 9, and 4. I first started to notice it around 1 week ago when our 12-year-old tripped while playing and fell on her face. I ran to her to reassure her she was okay, but my wife didn't really bother. She just sat on the bench and watched me and our daughter. That evening, I asked her why she showed no reaction, and she shrugged it off and told me that I looked after her, so it's okay. That's not her normal behavior at all, and if that had happened a couple months ago, she would have dropped everything and immediately look after our daughter. A day after that incident, we ate dinner, and the 9-year-old asked her to pass him the ketchup. She didn't pass it, but responded with, "Why do you want to eat our ketchup?" That caught me off guard, and I was extremely baffled. He asked if it isn't also his ketchup, but she insisted that it's hers and her family's ketchup. I thought she was making a joke, but she looked extremely stern and sincere, so I gave him the ketchup. The rest of the day was uneventful, but she kept looking at me and the kids in this, I really don't know, aggressive fashion, as if we were a threat to her. During the last week, I received only one kiss, not a single hug or any kind of affection, and even if she sometimes smiles at me, it just looks extremely forced. Sometimes she just looks at me as if she searches something. Obviously, I asked her a couple times if something was wrong, but she always denied it and said everything is fine. The problem is, she was only hostile towards me. I could somewhat in some way understand it. Maybe I annoy her. Maybe she doesn't love me anymore, or she thinks I'm cheating, or I don't fucking know. But she also seems to hate, or at least be neutral, towards the children. When they talk about school, she doesn't care. When they have problems, she doesn't care. She doesn't tuck them in at night, and I tell our kids that she's just in a bad mood and has a lot on her plate. But obviously they know as sure as I do that something isn't right. It really got out of hand when 2 days ago, her mother called me, asking me if something is wrong with her daughter. Apparently, she doesn't, or at least only briefly answers her texts and doesn't want to meet her anymore. She told me that my wife told her that she isn't her real mother, which of course is something horrible to say, and we both don't know why she said it or what exactly it meant. When she asked my wife why she said that, she excused herself and said that it was a joke. She never, or at least rarely, has an argument with her mom. We all have a great relationship up to this week, and I just can't, in any possible way, find out what changed. It kept me up at night because my wife just feels like a different person. Now, I thought about a mental illness, maybe some form of early Alzheimer's, but it doesn't seem to fit her behavior. She had a depression when she was younger, but that's 10 years ago. She was as lovely as one can be not even 2 weeks ago. There are a lot of other instances of her behavior, but I don't have the energy to write it down right now. That brings me to yesterday. I sat her down and asked her if something is wrong, and I need an answer now, or otherwise we will see a psychiatrist. She started telling me that everything was fine, and she just has to act as she always does. That sentence made me feel sick to my stomach because I didn't know what it meant. Is she seeing someone? Is someone fucking holding her hostage, or what is happening? I asked her what she meant, but she just brushed it off again, saying that she's okay. I then told her that we're seeing a psychologist, and she started screaming at me that I can't make her. I insisted, so she threw a cup at me, got up and told me she wants her real family back. I don't fucking know what that means. We didn't change anything. Everything is as it was a month ago. She grabbed her purse and ran out of the house. She returned a couple hours later and told me she is sorry for how she acted. She did a complete 360 and said everything is good. Now she kissed me and told me she'll explain it tomorrow, but she's just tired now. When we got to bed later, she kept looking at me as if I'm a stranger, but I was also extremely exhausted from everything and just fell asleep. It's morning now, and she left the house. I can't find her, and it looks like she packed some stuff of hers, some jackets, her purse, 2 pairs of shoes. I called her parents, her friends, everyone she knows, but they all haven't seen her. Her friends told me all that they haven't had contact with her in the last week. Should I call the police now? Have some of you experienced something similar? I just don't know what to do. I have never felt this helpless. And then the OP makes an edit saying, I called the police a couple of minutes after the first people here told me to. The police responded, and they took my story very seriously and said they will search for her immediately. I told them a couple places she might be. I waited at home and distracted the children, saying that their mom took some time for herself. Her parents are at my house and playing with the children. They are just as destroyed and unnerved as me. They had found my wife an hour ago at the local park. 5 hours after, they started searching for her. It didn't look like she was fleeing or in a hurry, but just waiting, sitting on a bench. They told me, however, that she was extremely hostile towards the police and punched an officer. She is now in a psychiatric clinic, but I'm not allowed to meet her nor anyone else. Doctors are caring for her and will call me as soon as they know more. Thanks for everyone that replied. I'm extremely worried, and I'm reading into all the mental illnesses you have posted. I just hope it is something they can cure quickly. I still feel like I'm in a bad dream. And then the top comment on this first post reads as follows. Someone says, psych nurse here. You need to look up Capgras delusion. This is what it sounds like is happening. Call the police now. She may be in danger. And for those of you who don't know what Capgras syndrome is, or Capgras delusions, is a rare psychiatric condition where a person believes a familiar person, like a spouse or parent or kids, or even a pet/place, has been replaced by an identical but fake imposter, despite recognizing their appearance. So just a wild delusion or illness. I mean, that's just crazy, but let's get into the next update. 2 days after the original post. A lot of people seem to care, and I got a ton of encouraging messages, so I will post an update for you. We live in Northern Europe, for those that asked. Thanks for everyone that gave me their advice. A lot of you have assumed schizophrenia or the rare Capgras delusion. Some of you assumed she was cheating, which is something I won't even address. Thinking about it, Capgras really fitted these symptoms, but I just couldn't accept that. Still hoping she was somehow fucking with us, or that it was something mild and temporary, and I just overreacted. After they took her in, I drove to the mental institute to give an exact explanation of what happened in the last week. The psychiatrist assumed some sort of schizophrenia. They told me they will look after her and I should go home to my children. I felt like I was drunk the entire time. I couldn't close a single eye at night. The psychiatrist called me yesterday evening and asked me to come to her office. I left my children with their grandparents and drove for what felt like an eternity. She told me straight up that she strongly assumes that it's capgrass. She never saw a case of capgrass before, but it fits everything she gathered. She explained to me how the past 2 days went down. My wife arrived there being extremely hostile. She was put in a safe room where she couldn't do anything to herself. She calmed down after a couple hours and the psychiatrist was able to talk to her. The good news was that she quickly opened up and explained to her what she thinks. She knows that her family and most of her friends have been swapped by clones. She assumed that we, the clones, have sent police officers to get her and that she was scared of what we might do to her. She flew in the first place because she felt like we might attack her, but mostly to get some space. She still isn't sure if the clones are malicious or not. That explains why she was distrusting me and always searched for some signs in me and the kids. My wife said that we act exactly like the real ones and how perfect our disguise was, but she knew that we weren't real because she didn't feel any love towards me or the kids or her own parents. Writing this down feels like a lance piercing through my chest. She also told her how she was trying to hide her distrust in us because she couldn't be sure if we know that she knows that we aren't the real we. Her delusion that we've been swapped came to her one day before I noticed it, 10 days ago. She woke up, looked at me, and knew that I wasn't the same anymore, not the real one. Same with the kids, her parents, and her friends. She hadn't had those thoughts before. She asked the psychiatrist if she knows who swapped us or why it happened or if this happens often. She tried to avoid answering her question because she wasn't sure how my wife would react if she gave in or took her out of her delusion. My wife asked her when she can get out of it again. The psychiatrist asked her if she wants to get out, and she answered that she's okay being here. It gives her some comfort being with professionals, and she now has time to think. It helps that my wife is a nurse and that she respects doctors a lot. The psychiatrist explained to me how they will try to slowly deconstruct her delusion, and that it can take a short or very long time until she fully recovers. She explained to me that it's possible that she might never truly recover, but the fact that she opened up about it and doesn't necessarily feel scared is a good sign. I'm still not allowed to see her, as it could make her panic. She appears to be completely clear-minded about everything else. She knows names, dates, places, facts, and everything she knew before. Only the thought that we aren't the real ones is now a fact for her. Now I wait till they have some good or bad news of how she develops. Writing all of this down has really helped me. I'm trying to wrap my head around the situation, and I'm mostly scared for her and the children. I can't hide how distressed I am, and that my wife isn't at home, so I explained to them that she is in a mental health hospital and she has to recover. The 4-year-old doesn't really understand, but the other two took it surprisingly well. It helps that they heard all of these morbid stories my wife told them from the hospital, I guess. They asked me when they can see her, and I told them I don't know, but I hope it will be soon. I haven't felt this empty, and I don't know if I should be sad or angry. Fuck. Thanks to everyone here that helped me. I feel like I'm in a waiting room at the dentist. It's so surreal. I feel better knowing what the problem is, but worse not knowing when it ends. And then a lot of the comments were very supportive of the OP, obviously telling him to stay strong. And I found one interesting comment about capgrass. And the commenter says, "Hey OP, I had to study capgrass syndrome a little for an exam a couple of weeks ago. One thing that stood out to me, Herstein and Ramakund, 1997, often support," and this is a quote, saying, "Their patient claimed his parents were imposters when he spoke to them in person, but treated them as his real parents when he spoke to them on the telephone, consistent with the delusion resulting from discrepant visual information," from 2000. And the commenter says, "If they will approve of it, see if you can start gradually with phone calls. It stood out to me as the best avenue for initial treatment. I wish you and your family all the best. And I just think that's pretty interesting. And some sort of like mental health issues such as capgras are so interesting because it's like, what causes it? And it's weird how there's certain kind of ends to make the person feel more comfortable, such as the phone call. Very, very unique and interesting. But let's get into the OP's final update, posted 3 months after the first update. And then the OP says, "Hi, you all. This will be the final update. It's been 3 months and I feel like I can give another update. Most, if not all of you, probably don't care or have forgot, but hey, if anyone wants to know, I haven't responded to most private messages because I didn't feel good enough talking about it. I still kind of don't. To address the elephant in the room, my wife is back with us. She is at home and well, and she laughs about the whole incident more than I do, to be honest, but that's just me. She immediately started her treatment at the Mental Health Institute. At first, they kept her sealed off from me and the rest of her friends and family. They taught her relations and how the brain works and how to process love and affection and all stuff like that. Meanwhile, I was at home and biting my fingernails away while explaining to everyone what is happening. Turns out that many people I know and thought highly of don't believe in psychological damage and mental problems, so that was fun talking about too. Anyway, this isn't really about me here. They somehow convinced her that she has a delusion. Apparently, she almost immediately believed them, but said she still doesn't feel anything towards us, even if she knows that it's a delusion. Her trust in doctors and nurses made all of this so much simpler, and I'm so grateful for this. They worked with her more and let her first talk to her parents over the phone. She started gaining trust again, and they kind of rebonded. Later, they allowed me to talk to her, and I wasn't able to say a single word because I basically broke down in tears when I heard her saying, or more like saying, a simple hello. She told me he'll be fine and she just needs some more time and that the doctors know what they're doing. I regained some strength and told her she should call whenever she wants to. Later, she talked to the kids and it really helped her. She laughed with them, told them jokes about mental health, and recollected some memories. Gradually, they let her meet her friends, then her parents, her siblings, and finally me and the kids. That was almost 5 weeks after she got turned in. When she saw me and the kids, she started to cry too and kissed all of us. She said she was sorry, but I assured her there's nothing to be sorry about. They still kept her a couple of days for some final tests and let her finally go. She got back into work fairly quickly, and we have the great relations that we had before all of this. The kids are happy, still don't 100% know what exactly happened. There are still some traces of distrust in herself. She questions her feelings more often and glooms over stuff, but all in all, everything turned out to be good. Also, it's still not 100% clear why it happened at all. She can't recall banging her head against anything or anything different. It feels good finally writing this down. I wanted to thank everyone who answered and helped me out on the initial post. Thanks to the people that almost immediately diagnosed her and made me call the police. I'm sorry that I didn't answer your private messages. I was quite busy, and talking about the mental health of my wife feels weird and bitter to me. She knows about this post and about the last post and sends her love too. And I just think stuff like this is so horrifying because, I mean, the OP's wife did nothing wrong to kind of produce or initiate this mental health issue and the capgras delusions. And it's so scary to me that you can just wake up one day and you or someone you love ends up developing a horrible delusion or syndrome or illness, mental illness. I just think it's so scary that sometimes it's just luck of the draw. And it's just so great that the OP's wife recovered relatively quickly, especially after the doctor said it could be a lifetime condition. I mean, how horrible would that be? 5 weeks is not a short time, but still, that's a lot better than a lifetime of being delusional and the OP never getting his wife back and or the kids having their mom back. I mean, that's so sad, but just crazy to me how stuff like that can just happen out of nowhere. And it's so scary, but I just thought this was a horrifying post because it could have gone so bad if the OP didn't act faster. I don't really know how delusions worsen over time, but who knows? Maybe if he waited a few days, it could have gotten worse and ended up spending months recovering or something like that. But very, very scary. And I just wish the best for the OP and his wife and his family. My student made a super creepy comment. My husband thinks I'm being paranoid. And the post reads as follows. I'm a high school English teacher and have been for a few years. In that time, as a woman, I've been used to teenage boys behaving awkwardly around me sometimes, and pheromones are part of the deal. There have been occasional comments, but generally in the vein of, Miss So-and-so has a crush on you, or Miss, would you be so-and-so's Valentine? It's all in good humor, in front of the whole class or a large group, and is well-meaning. My school throws a January ball for seniors, 16 to 18 years old, which is basically an opportunity to celebrate the start of another calendar year. As it's after hours, not every teacher has to attend. And this year, I was asked to chaperone. There is no alcohol permitted, but obviously some of them sneak in hip flasks and so on. During this month's ball, 2 students were huddled at a table in the corner of the hall, not dancing, just keeping to themselves. I know them well as problematic students who have difficulties socially, but also perform poorly academically, so they don't fit in with the popular crowd or the nerdy lot. We have some of these every year. Poor hygiene, greasy hair, long fingernails, that sort of thing. Immediately, I could tell they had been drinking from the way they spoke and smelled, and asked them to hand over any alcohol they had. One of the boys, let's call him Stuart, started to protest. He said the following, and I'm 100% sure this is what he actually said. Come on, miss. Don't pretend you won't open that bottle of Bailey's when you get home. Feet up in your dressing gown, watching the new TV. Give us a break. Now, as soon as he said this, I felt my heart drop into my stomach and got cold all over. I just bought a bottle of Bailey's Irish Cream for myself the weekend before the dance. I am in the habit on nights where I don't have much marking/planning and want to treat myself on having a bath and watching a movie/TV series in my dressing gown. And my husband bought a new television over Christmas. I asked him how he knew those things, and he feigned ignorance, basically saying it was a lucky guess. I was so shaken that I left them, and for a short while later, they both left. But that night, I could barely sleep, and my paranoia kept on growing. I simply could not believe that he could have guessed all 3 of those things. 1, maybe, but no way all 3. My husband is away for work currently. I phoned and told him about it, and he basically downplayed my concerns, saying I probably mentioned those things to my class at various points, and this student has just remembered it, but I would never mention those things. I just wouldn't, and I'm sure I haven't. I've become more skittish at home when I hear noises. I only live in a small house, but when I arrive home from buying groceries, I check every single room and cupboard before I lock the doors. I've also arranged to have the locks changed. When cars stop outside the house, I turn all the lights off and peek at them through the blinds. I'm having trouble sleeping. In class, this student is quiet and the same as ever, not completing homework assignments, distracted in class. My husband is growing increasingly exacerbated and worried more for my mental health than the possibility this student could somehow know details of my personal life. I mentioned it to my supervisor as well, and she also basically reasoned that I'd either misheard what he said, it was a coincidence, or a combination of the two. What's the play here? I'm seriously freaked out, and I don't know how to even begin putting this to rest. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, my thing is, why would he say new TV? I could believe it if he said drinking some wine, watching TV, in your dressing gown, but being extremely specific about your drink of choice and new TV is a little scary. Wine is the trope / TV is what you would think people do / dressing gown is cozy, but those extra added details make it not a coincidence. And the OP responds saying, exactly. If it was just you're going to have some Baileys or even you're going to have some Baileys in front of your TV, like, okay. But those comments plus the new TV, and I have to agree with the OP there. I mean, there's just no way it's a coincidence. And that's just so creepy, obviously. It's just the chances of that being a coincidence is basically nothing. And this kid obviously seems a little bit off or creepy or whatever, but yeah, just very, very concerning. And then the OP gives us an update saying, I wasn't expecting this post to receive so much attention. I'm really grateful to so many people who have now validated my concerns and helped me develop a plan of action. I got home a little while ago, and I'm going out shortly with a friend to try to rule out Bluetooth and Wi-Fi devices with my neighbors. After that, the two of us will try and conduct a meticulous search of the house for any concealed devices, using the lights out phone camera trick some people recommended and some other tips I've found online. Just to clarify a couple of points that I've seen raised a few times. Dressing gown is a really common term here in England for what Americans might call a robe. It's absolutely common parlance. Here, most people I would know would associate a robe with something a wizard might wear. In terms of it being a lucky guess, if he had just said, relax with a glass of wine, I might have assumed so. But the dressing gown comment plus the Bailey's comment when I just bought a bottle and the explicit mention of a new television, which I'm 100% certain I did not misinterpret, these things make it so much harder to write off as a coincidence. And I'd completely agree with the OP there. And then the OP also says, as far as social media goes, I have Instagram, which is set to private under my maiden name, and my profile picture is not of me. I'm not in the habit of connecting with former students. I only have 3 who have all gone on to study English at university and have used me as references. I also have a Snapchat, which I use only with my husband and very close friends. I've posted nothing about my new television, and I also don't think I've mentioned this to colleagues, let alone to students. Certainly, I said nothing about the Baileys I just bought. And now let's get into some relevant comments. Someone says, is it possible that you or your husband were observed buying the new TV in the Baileys? The student's parents could have seen either purchase and said, oh, the OP just got a new LG 65-inch. I agree you should do a sweep for cameras or ask a tech-ish friend for help, but that would necessitate figuring out how the cameras got there, which opens up a larger conspiracy. And that's a good point. And then the OP responds saying, how can I do a sweep for cameras? I genuinely want to know. And then the commenter responds again saying, well, I'm in IT, but not that area. If there was a camera, logically, it would have to be transmitting, so probably use a Wi-Fi connection. I've read that skimmers and gas station credit card payments units can send data through Wi-Fi, so the bad actor doesn't have to retrieve it. That Wi-Fi should show up on your phone if you look at various Wi-Fi offerings on your phone. You'd have to take into consideration closeness of neighbors' houses and their routers, so it's a guess. How a camera got there is another puzzle. Occam's razor says to look at the easier likelihood. So how can someone be looking in your window as you sip Baileys in a nightgown and also notice your recycle bin with a discarded LG TV box recently? And then someone else says, I'm not a huge techie, but I've been around the block a few times. Your husband is being naive. And while I appreciate people trying to encourage you that the surveillance is happening via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, and of course investigate those avenues, please also take seriously the idea that you are being stalked, even stalked for fun with no malicious intent. I mentioned in a separate comment the idea of a dog, and there are also many DIY ways of alarming or otherwise reinforcing your house that don't involve tech. If you look on YouTube, for example, I'm hoping that you stay safe. And then the OP gives us a final update saying, I wasn't going to post an update here, but the number of worried people who have reached out to me made me reconsider. After a thorough search of my house, I found 2 devices. They seem to be camera devices. I don't know if audio is included. One of them was in the smoke detector in my bedroom, while the other was concealed in the wall of my living room. Looking at an old picture of my bedroom, it looks like the smoke detector itself has changed very slightly. I think that the new one is a device in itself, which the culprit somehow switched with the old one without us noticing. The matter has now been referred to the police. If it wasn't for so many of you taking me seriously and giving me practical advice, I wouldn't have had the courage to check, especially given my husband downplaying the concerns. He has been very apologetic and is coming back from his work trip early, but I've asked to spend some time apart and will be staying with my parents for a while. I'm glad I raised the issue with the head at my school and a couple of others, as there's a paper trail. Another suggestion from the thread. Needless to say, I'm completely shaken to my core, and I have the most revolting feeling of my privacy being invaded. I have no idea how many people have been involved in this, but phones have been taken from students and we should have more answers soon. I won't be making any more posts or updates. Thank you again to everyone for affirming me and making me feel sane. And just, oh my God, I was not expecting that at all. I thought it was going to be like the guy was looking through a window, which obviously in and of itself is terrifying. But the fact that somehow the student or someone the student knew got cameras, 2 cameras, into the OP's home is terrifying. And it is not something I was expecting at all. At all. I mean, how creepy is that? And thank God the OP's searched for cameras, because in my personal opinion as well, I didn't think there was going to be cameras. I would have, like other commenters said, looked for a more practical explanation, like the guy looking through a window, or like the guy doing something else, or whatever. But the fact that there was 2 cameras, one in a smoke detector and one in the wall, is just so terrifying, and it raises so many questions that will go unanswered due to the OP saying that they'll leave no more updates, and there hasn't been any more updates. Like, there's so many questions. It's like, who put the cameras there? Was it the student that approached him? And why did the student even kind of give way to that? Like, why would he even say such a thing to kind of give himself away or give hints? It's just so wild, and I just wonder who's involved. Is it only students, or is it someone outside the school? And then someone outside the school got in touch with students or the weirdos. But God, that is just baffling. I mean, I was not expecting that at all. But yeah, I just have so many questions that will sadly go unanswered. But what do you guys think? I just thought this was beyond insane and so scary. And hopefully the OP got it solved. I mean, I'm surprised this case isn't on the news or something, but yeah, just beyond wild. And all right, guys, those were some horrifying true Reddit threads. I hope you enjoyed today's video. This video was brutal. Very depressing, a lot of depressing threads, but yeah, comment down below what you thought about this video. Would you like to see more videos like this in the future? Did you think it was interesting? Comment down below your thoughts, and please like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Spotify, follow me on Instagram, all that jazz. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means the world, and I appreciate it so much. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you will enjoy other videos on the channel, so check those out. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. This was Snook, and I'll see you next time. Bye.